Good afternoon. My name is Donna Roper-Roach. I am presenting today the qualitative analysis of President-elect Dr. Gina Spivey-Brown's vision for Oakwood University, themes and insights from 3 speaking engagements. This is in fulfillment for an assignment in the class FED 601, Introduction to Qualitative Research Methods, instructor Cecil McManus. A phenomenon occurred on Oakwood University campus several weeks ago. On March 28, 2025, the Board of Trustees of Oakwood University announced the appointment of Dr. Gina Spivey-Brown as the 12th president of Oakwood University. She officially assumes leadership on July 1st, 2025. Dr. Spivey-Brown is the first female in the 129-year history of the university, and she's the second educator in the history of the university. Oakwood University is in the state of transition and is currently in crisis. The question for this research is, what leadership approach and strategies will Dr. Spivey-Brown utilize to address Oakwood University's crisis? The purpose of the research is to examine key themes from President-elect Dr. Spivey-Brown's addresses using quantitative analysis. And the method that I'm going to use, I'm coding interviews and speeches using Max QDA. The framework that I'm going to use is viewing Dr. Spivey's approach and leadership approach and strategies through the lenses of Bowman and Deal. Talk a little bit about Bowman and Deal real quickly. It is a framework of 4 elements that Bowman and Deal present to analyze business organizations. So this frames are structure, political, human resources, and symbolic. Structure, an example of the structural affair would be the governance, the board of trustees, or an organization leadership. Political would be outside forces, alumni, any governmental or state policies or decisions that are being made that may impact the organization. Human resources could be faculty compensation, faculty development, faculty morale. Symbolic frame really looks at the legacy, looks at symbols, looks at the campus culture, and other elements that represent the university. The 3 data sources that I'm using in this research is Concerned Oakwoodites Address. It was conducted on, it was given on April 18, 2025, and for 27 minutes. The Alumni Sabbath Service Address was given on April 19th, and it was for 2 minutes and 19 minutes. And then there was a longer interview between Dr. Gina Spivey-Brown and Oakwood Alumni Communications Executive Director, and that was on April 25th, and that was interview lasted for 51 minutes. Well, as you can see, this is Max QDA, and I am going to point you to the first quadrant on my left-hand side where you see documents. I have several documents loaded. The announcement of Dr. Spivey's address, some magazine articles, and some television interviews. But I'm really focusing on 3 primary documents, as I mentioned earlier. One, you would see the Concerned Oakwoods interview here, the Alumni Weekend service. That was I think 3 minutes, and then the interview with Spivey-Brown. This is a longer 55-minute interview. And on the right-hand side area where I'm pointing to, you can see how I went through and I coded the interview segments, And on the left-hand side, you can see some of the themes: academic excellence, mission, endurance, persistence, stamina, and staying alive, background, financial, faith, vision, optimism. So there were several themes that were reoccurring throughout these addresses. So we had a total of 16 themes, 34 codes across the three addresses, and talk a little bit about the Boson Deal frame alignment, for frame alignment, which is really only 17% of the themes. There were other themes like recruitment, academic excellence, faith, which really didn't fall neatly into the Boson Deals for frames, but we will talk about that as we continue. So let's take a look at some of the themes. Theme 1 is structure. And I put in quotation some of the direct quotes from the interviews. And Dr. Spivey, shared governance model. She will adopt a shared governance model, but she will take full responsibility. She talked about reorganizing the Board of Trustees to some extent. She also put emphasis on inclusive decision making, and she's going to take strong personal accountability. Human resources, and this was interesting because faculty and staff have been very concerned about the pay scale at the university. One of her comments that resonated across all, well, at least 2 of the interviews, was that faculty should be paid more, and what they're paid is a shame before God. It is not of God not to pay faculty well. She focuses on fair compensation, advocates for faculty dignity and equality. And here I have 5 of my colleagues actually. One of the ladies at the top is the vice president for faculty research. The other is the chair of the biology department, and the 3 gentlemen at the bottom I work with very closely in the School of Theology. One is the dean, one is the chair, and one is a graduate studies coordinator. Theme 3, symbols, and this is from Bowles and Deals. And Dr. Spivey-Brown had a lot to say about symbols, and so I just tried to condense it here. Basically, we are Oakwood University. So she made recognition of Oakwood University's symbols, the legacy, places, and historical figures. Pastor E.E. Ward, a beloved longtime pastor of the University Church. In fact, he constructed the church, a sanctuary where we now have worship services. She spoke of the choirs. You see a picture of the Aeolians. We have several choirs, Voice of Triumph, Dynamic Praise. The community practices were central, the colloquiums, the other activities that involved think tank, for example, where faculty and staff come together. She affirmed Oakwood's spiritual and cultural identity, the worship services on Wednesday night and Sabbath, which is Saturday, each week. There has been a tension, a division in the Alumni Association in the last, I would say, 8 years, and she made references to we're going to have one alumni association. Division is not of God. We are Oakwood. We're second to none and head not the tail. Now, second to none and head not the tail were reoccurring statements in at least 2 of the interviews. And so you would see that kind of highlighted as we move through this presentation. Theme 4, vision. Oakwood University should be a full-scale shop from kindergarten through graduate school, and that's very interesting. The university part of the education department, we have a lab, a children's laboratory, and then from there we have the academy and the elementary school on the campus of Oakwood University, and then the university itself. So she makes a reference to the kindergarten elementary, the academy or high school, and the university. She wants the integration of education, the faith, family, alumni, and retirees. She wants to have opportunities for the entire family, for the entire community, including the retirees. There's even a cemetery on campus, so it's like a cradle to grave opportunity. She sees long-term institutional expansion of our graduate programs. Currently, Oakwood University operates 5 graduate programs, 2 in the School of Religion, Masters in Social Work, Masters in Public Health, and a Master's in Business Administration. She sees us moving to to PhD programs. Right now, the university is looking to launch a doctorate of ministry out of the School of Theology, and she wants to expand on those programs, graduate programs. Leadership style. Don't take my niceness for weakness. I've heard this said in another way. Don't take my meekness for weakness. She says I can be firm and still show the love of Christ. She wants to take a collaborative approach to leadership. She wants input from everyone, from faculty, staff, former Oakwoodites, and other educators. But she will take ultimate responsibility for decisions. She's going to be firm, yet compassionate, Christ-centered decisiveness. Prayer is one of her leadership strategies. Theme 6, recruitment and enrollment. We must show that Oakwood is second to none. We must show not only students, but parents. Dr. Spivey-Brown mentioned that targeting parents and prospective students should be the aim. She wants to have data-informed engagement strategy around recruitment and enrollment. She wants it to be student-centric. Ask students what needs we can meet and learn about their experience. She wants to also tout the value of Oakwood. She says being an Oakwood alum is better than any fraternity or any sorority, and she gives an example of the long-term relationships that are formed, the network as a result of being an alumni, and so she wants to tout the value to both parents and students of attending Oakwood University, even outside of the academics. Academic excellence is theme number 7. We will keep our accreditation safe. And she reiterated the importance of safeguarding and pushing toward excellence. Oak will provide the finest education and scholars who are second to none, head and not the tail. Dr. Spivey-Brown is coming from Howard University, where she's the Dean of Nursing. And she did incredible things around accreditation, as well as building the programs and expanding the number of students during her 10 years at Oakwood. Student life and student success. We are one family. We do not put our students out mid-semester, and this has been a problematic for a lot of parents, for alumni. This practice of students enrolling for school, not having enough tuition to finish, and then being put out of the university mid-semester. Her comments, we will make sure our students have scholarships because they shouldn't be allowed to start and not finish. She wants to focus on retention, and her administration is going to be student-centered policies and culture. Over the last year in particular, there has been a new policy, a more liberal dress code for students on campus. And Dr. Spivey-Brown hit that policy head on with this comment: you won't see our belly, but you won't see your belly, butt, or booty at Oakwood. You can come to Howard and you will see all of that. We are not going to be seeing that at Oakwood. She's reinforcing standards of appearance, dress code reflecting values and discipline, and enhancing campus identity and values. This was a very controversial issue. All right, so let's talk about theme 10, which is faith. She says, I talk to Jesus about every day. These are God's problems and he will fix them. So she's really undaunted about taking on this new responsibility because of her faith. There are a lot of people who are doubting what we are going to do. I'm not thinking about being the first female president. I'm thinking about being God's child. She has a practice of fleecing that she uses in making personal decisions, which I thought was very interesting. She gave us an example in one of the interviews of that. And she says, we will ask God what is wrong, how to fix it, and we will fix it together. So she has a lot of faith, and you'll see that demonstrated in her vision and in her leadership. Theme 11 is endurance and optimism. She says, I've run 11 marathons, and I know how to endure. Resilience through athletic metaphor. She talked about resilience through an athletic metaphor, running marathons. She says, I've run 10 marathons, including 6 majors. Currently, my favorite sport is deep sea diving. In diving, I must focus on breathing and staying alive. And I think she's going to really succeed here at Oakwood, given the fact that she has this stamina and this endurance and this optimism. She has learned perseverance under pressure. Theme 12 is finance and infrastructure. God is a God of beauty. We don't need money. We just need 2 hands and 2 feet. 2 feet. Vision for campus beautification, practical stewardship, and volunteerism. Educational background was theme 13. It was not God's plan then, but it is now. Dr. Spivey was a candidate 13 years ago when the 11th president was being selected, and she did not make that round, but she's saying this time, now is the time. She feels that she is adequately prepared. She's a 2-time Oakwood alum. She has extensive leadership roles at 2 other Adventist universities, Washington Adventist University, Loma Linda University in California, and Howard University. In conclusion, Dr. Spivey-Brown presents a holistic vision for Oakwood University rooted in faith, legacy, excellence, and community engagement. Her message blends spiritual conviction, institutional reform, and inclusive leadership. While not explicitly coded in the analysis, the political dimensions are implied in her navigation of community concerns and institutional legacy.